Hey everybody, Teresa here of Larkin Design. Welcome to Documenting Travel in Your Project Life album. And so I wanted to do a mini series this summer about documenting travel and how to get it into your Pocket Page albums and get the trips documented that you want to get documented. And I hear this in our community a lot about the overwhelm of documenting trips, how to include it in your Project Life album, how many photos should you include, how many layouts should you make, should you do your travel layouts in a separate album, should you do them in your Project Life album. And so first off, there are no right or wrong answers to any of those questions. You can document your travels and those precious trips however it feels right for you. My preference has always been, for the last 5 or 6 years, has always been Pocket Pages, because it helps me be able to compartmentalize it and get it done in a pretty efficient way. And I know that that story has been told, and I know that it's included in our family albums in some kind of way. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be all-inclusive, but it's there in some kind of way. And so I wanted to hop on here today and just talk to you real quick about some of my overarching thoughts as I'm going into the process of documenting our trips. Some of the things that I keep in the back of my mind and that I use to help guide me along the way. I wanted to share these with you. And of course, if you want to know more details about my Project Life process, how I've completed the last 6 years in Project Life, I invite you to join me in the classroom at In My Pocket. Volumes 1 and Volumes 2, I go through my whole process from start to finish, and those are available. They are courses, self-paced courses that are available at my website at larkindesigntm.com. So I wanted to share just a couple of thoughts with you today. These thoughts are all presented in those classes. But they're important for travel layouts as well. And I've never really done a series of travel layouts like this. So I thought it would be fun, and I wanted to just give you some tips and tricks to help you as you embark on your summer and take your amazing trips here. My first and overarching tip is to keep it manageable. What is manageable for you might look very different from what is manageable to me. And that's one of the reasons why I love Project Life and why I love Pocket Page albums, is because the page design is already laid out. I'm using Design A this year, most of the year. And I know that I just need 7 to 10 photos, 7 4x6 photos and a couple of 3x4 photos if I have them, if I want to include them. If I don't, that's okay. And those decisions are already made for me, and I know that going into it. I also think that we should include our travel layouts in our Project Life albums. One, because they're a lot of fun. I find that there's a special magic when we're traveling and when we're out experiencing new things and we're together as a family. There's a special magic in those photographs, and I want to see those in our albums. When on down the road, after a couple of years have passed, we're going to want to see those trips in those albums, and we're going to want to revisit those memories in the context that they're in. And Project Life gives this amazing context. It's a context of a week, right, or a month, or whatever that layout represents to you. If you're doing event-based layouts, then that layout represents the event of visiting this town or visiting this location. But keep it manageable. Use Project Life to help it be manageable for you, so that you know you only have to put in this many photos if you want to. You only have to do this, right? You only have to include this. You don't have to tell every story. You don't have to include every photo. Just include this. And so then the question becomes, well, how do I pick photos? If I come back from a trip and I have 1,000 pictures, if I come back from a trip and I have 5,000 pictures, right? How do I narrow down? How do I decide what goes into these layouts? And for me, it's always been about representing. So what are the photos that represent this experience for you? And obviously, it can be really challenging to pick out 7 photos from a trip that you brought home 1,000 photos for. That can be way overwhelming. I can tell you that when I documented our Disney trip, I took 999 photos, and I ended up printing out about 100, and I ended up doing about 35 layouts in our Disney album. And that's cool. I think that that's great, and that certainly I want you to feel inspired to do those other albums, but for the purposes of Project Life and for the purposes of keeping on track wherever you are in your track in Project Life, for the purposes of keeping on going, we have to narrow it down somehow. So think about, as you're selecting photos, think about how you can represent this particular trip and this particular experience in your life. What are the things that you remember the most and that stand out the most to you? And make a point of documenting those. Or pick one photo every day. If you were gone 10 days, pick one photo every day that just captures the magic of that trip. If you were gone 4 days, pick 2 photos per day or 2 events per day. Whatever it is that captures that magic for you, that when your eyes see that photo, your face lights up. What sparks the joy, right? To quote Marie Kondo, what photos spark the most joy for you from that trip? My third tip is to do what keeps you on track and what keeps you engaged in this particular project. I mentioned already, if you want to do separate albums for your trips, do that. But for the purposes of staying on track in your Project Life album and in your family documenting, do include this. Do include these trips. Do include your travels. Find a way to select your images that mean the most to you, include them, so that you'll know if you never get back to that particular trip, you know that you've got it included in your family album somehow. You know that you've printed some of the photos. Even if you didn't get to print all of the photos that you want to print yet, at least you know that you've got it represented. And that's way more important than getting it all in. I happen to be one of those people that gets easily overwhelmed thinking about trying to document every detail. That is overwhelming to me. That will make me stop dead in my tracks if I'm going to try to include every detail. So the idea of representing really makes it more manageable for me personally, so that I don't feel the overwhelm of, oh my God, I came home with 300 stories. How am I going to tell all 300 stories? I'm here to tell you, you don't have to tell all 300 stories. It's okay to just tell 5 stories. It's okay to just tell 1 story if that's all that you have time for right now. You can always go back. But I do want to encourage you to include your travels in your Project Life albums. Include those in the context of your year, and your month and your week that you're documenting in your albums. You'll be so glad that you did. You'll know where it fits in with what else was going on in your life at that time. And you'll have it there. You'll have a recorded documentation that this is what you and your family did, and this is what you did before you went, and this is what you did after you went. And instead of it standing alone as a separate album, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it fits in with your whole life, and you have more of an idea of what your life was like in that particular year that you took that trip. What were other things that were going on at the same time or around the same time? And I think that makes it its own special treasure. There is a special treasure in creating a special album for your travels. Our Disney album is one of my favorites. I have some mini albums where we've traveled different places over the years. Those are gems as well. But I also love seeing the layouts in our albums that just represent that week. So I hope that you'll join me for the month of June, and I'm hoping to publish a video on Tuesdays and Fridays of this month, and I'm excited to share this with you. I love travel layouts just as much as you do, and I hope that you'll be inspired. I hope that you will click the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you'll get the notifications for these videos, and I hope you're inspired. Share your travel layouts as well. Be sure to tag me. I would love to see what you're doing. I would love to see how you represent your travels in your Project Life albums as well. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.